Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador Danon Dani. Thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here with presidents, prime ministers, foreign ministers, and all of you. Sarah and I, 2 months ago, had one of the most moving experiences in our public lives and in many ways in our personal lives. We visited 4 African countries. And the first visit of an Israeli prime minister in decades. Each country spoke to our hearts. There was a special connection. We began with a ceremony in Entebbe. 40 years ago, my brother died leading a rescue party to liberate the hostages held by terrorists in the old terminal at Entebbe Airport. And it was a very moving ceremony held exactly at the spot where he fell. So naturally that's one connection to our people, to my family. We then proceeded to Kenya. In Kenya, we had an interesting tie because when the British mandate was in force and Jews were fighting, much as Africans had fought for their independence, some of them had been exiled to Kenya. And then some of them escaped from Kenya and made their way back to the land of Israel. They became Supreme Court Chief Justices. One of them even became, I think, a prime minister, if I'm not mistaken. That's Yitzhak Shamir, the late Yitzhak Shamir, but I may be wrong about the African country. I am wrong about the African country. Okay. He was very resilient. He escaped from the other one as well. So obviously we have a connection, and we followed Kenya's quest for independence as well. We visited Rwanda. President Kagame kindly hosted us throughout, but took us to something that stirred our hearts when we saw the memorial to the Rwandan Holocaust, which also had telling exhibitions of other such acts of genocide, including, of course, the great genocide against the Jewish people. And there was a haunting familiarity with the horror and the grandeur of the rise of your people, led by you. And we felt a kinship there. And we finished the visit in Ethiopia. Well, Dani said it. It took us 3,000 years to give a return visit to the Queen of Sheba. And we have to do this more often. And of course, joining me were Knesset members. One of them is here, Avraham Nagosa, who had come from Ethiopia to Israel. So there's a human bond there that endures for many, many centuries. These are 4 countries with each of which we have a deep and abiding bond. We feel the same bond with all of Africa. The father of modern Zionism, the national movement that reestablished the land of the Jewish state, our modern Moses, was Theodor Herzl. And when he began his activities at 36, in the close of the 19th century, and he died 8 years later as a young man, 44, one of the things he said is this. He said, after I finish liberating the Jewish people, I'm going to devote my life to liberating the people of Africa. What a sentiment. It's real. It underpins our feeling now, not of liberation, you have your independence, but of rising to the summit that we can achieve with human ingenuity, with creativity, with enterprise. We believe it's limitless. Technology goes everywhere. There's no high technology and low technology. It's finished. Every single field of human endeavor is going to be affected and changed, revolutionized by technology. We have capabilities in technology. We'd like to share it with you for our common betterment. And equally, there's another requirement which I talked about with the leaders just now. The possibilities we have in agriculture, in water, in health, in education, in energy. Yes. Okay, tell me all. Go ahead. I know all of you are here. In every field, exactly. All those possibilities have one basic requirement, and that requirement is security. We cannot let the savages overcome our societies. We have to fight them. We have to do several things at once. And I'll tell you what I told the leaders about one of my earliest recollections of my father, who was a great historian of the Jewish people. I learned many things from him, but perhaps the most telling thing that I learned from him was when I was 6 years old. And I went outside and saw my father working in the garden around our house. And I asked him, Father, what are you doing? And he said, I'm planting saplings, young trees. Come and help me. He said, take a hoe, dig a ditch, an irrigation ditch. Now pull out the weeds. Now pour some nutrients, fertilizers, and then pour water on top of that. And I did that. Then a year later, I come out and I see him working in the same spot in the garden. And I said, Father, what are you doing? He said, come and help me. Take a hoe, dig a ditch, pull out the weeds. Then I protested. I said, but Father, we pulled out the weeds last year. He said, you have to keep pulling out the weeds. But look, he said, look, Bibi, look. You see how that tree has grown in the meantime? Now, those trees are gigantic now. They're about 10, 15 meters tall. This is what we do. We in Israel have planted our young sapling in the ancient soil of our people. We've watered it with creativity. We've tended to it with every aspect of our commitment. We've protected the tree from storms. Now the tree is growing and growing and growing and spreading its branches to the sky. This is what we'd like to do with you. We'd like you to benefit from the fruits of the tree of knowledge that we have planted and the tree of our national revival. That is your national and collective African revival. We are your partners, and this is what this meeting is all about. Thank you. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.